Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another video for EVE Echoes. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at Season 5 of the CONCORD Pass and discussing whether or not I think this is worth it. This is going to be a review, therefore this is an opinion piece. Apparently I need to state that at the beginning of every video that is actually an opinion piece, because apparently some folks cannot differentiate between me giving a personal opinion or me just showcasing how something works. Anyway, in today's video then we're going to be having a look at the pass, having a look at the rewards, looking at its structure, and then having a look at the different nanocores that are obviously being launched with this one. This time around these are the Ascension nanocores. And you'll notice I've logged in on Captain Benzie here, where I am currently piloting a Typhoon 2 using the Dark Halo nanocore. I managed to get one of these yesterday, snuck in at the last moment with just enough points to buy one of these and fit it to this ship, just so I can have a little look at a comparison with this and some of the other cores that we're going to see. Anyway, without further ado, let's just jump right in and have a little look. Now, first things first, obviously here we have the CONCORD Pass itself. We're going to get that nice flashy graphic that says, "Congratulations, welcome to Season 5. If you're not familiar with how a CONCORD Pass works, I've covered this in previous videos, but basically it's a battle pass. You do missions, which are here in the mission tab, and you will earn CONCORD points. These pass points. Every time you reach 100 pass points, you advance one level along the tracker here under rewards, and you can claim the rewards. On the left hand side you have the standard rewards, which are available to everybody, and on the right hand side you have premium rewards, which are available to anyone who purchases one of the advanced CONCORD passes. You can go for the standard advanced CONCORD Pass for 249 aurum, that will unlock all of those rewards for you, or for 499 aurum you can go for the elite partner pass, which adds an additional 15 levels. So basically you start at level 15 and you'll get all of those, or if you buy it later in the month, then you'll jump 15 levels up. And it's worth noting that you can buy the advanced path later in the month as well, even right at the end if you want to, so you can go as far as you like in the battle pass, then go, oh actually, I've made it pretty far, I'm going to purchase the advanced pass, and bam, it'll unlock all of the advanced rewards that you would have received at that point, so you can do that in reverse. It's worth noting you can purchase pass levels as well for 100 plex a level, but it's really not an ideal way of doing things unless you really need something at the very last second. Anyway, looking at the missions, you'll see that you get an option of 6 different missions, and these last for a full week, 7 days. You can see I've got 6 days, 14 hours left, and you can get a maximum of 1,150 CONCORD points, pass points per week. Now, if you don't like the look of these missions, so for example here, manufacturing a Condor Interceptor, it's not for me. I can tap on this, I can hit refresh, and it'll give me a whole load of new missions. I like that destroy 100 NPC ships, I'm going to go for that one, and you can do this with all of these. And if you hit refresh and go, oh actually, I don't really like that one, you can hit refresh again, and it'll give you another load there. It costs you 5,000 ISK every time you want to do that. There is, of course, a login reward each week. Each new week you will earn 50 pass points there at the bottom. And if we go into challenges, there are 2 challenges. One to log in for 30 days overall, over the entire period, and one for logging in 15 days consecutively. This actually got me last month. I got to 14 days, I missed a day, and I had to restart the entire thing, which sucks. That 400 points, though, is really useful. So it's basically 4 full levels along the pass. But let's have a look at what the basic rewards here are. We're going to do this by tapping View All Rewards. Now, if you were to reach the end of the CONCORD Pass and do this as a free player without buying the Advanced Pass, then you are going to earn 520,002 skill points, 20 of these crates here, which are nanocore material supply chests. These are random. So you will open these and get a random amount of certain of these. Nanocore upgrade supplies there added to your inventory. You'll earn 21,661 CONCORD credits, and we'll talk about those later. 400 insurance points, and 2 of these Breeze 2 nanocore supply boxes. I still like the Breeze nanocore. It's a cheap way of making a frigate or a destroyer a pretty powerful little thing. If you were to pay for the advanced pass, you'll get an additional, everything that you get above, plus an additional 26 of the small nanocore material supply chests. You'll get an additional 32,021 CONCORD points, and 1,104 insurance points, and a further 960,017 skill points. Now, this, as you can see here, is ultimately stacked more towards the paid side, but it's nice to note that compared to Season 1 and Season 2, the actual differences are a lot smaller. Basically, if you looked at the amount of stuff you're getting for a free person compared to the total overall, you were earning probably around about 30% of the complete rewards as a free player, whereas now you're earning closer to about 40% of the rewards. It's a much better system in my opinion. I would ultimately like to see it swap over a little bit. I'd like to see you actually earn 50% of the rewards as free and the additional 50 is paid, but I also get why it is the way it is. It's to entice payments. The game needs payments, game needs money, devs need paying, servers needs, resources need paying for, basically, is what I'm trying to get at here. So of course the devs need money. But that's some really nice stuff there as a free player, and you'll notice I haven't talked about the skins yet. Skins to me are still a bit of a issue. Ultimately here, for example, it's the Rupture Holy Throne skin, which in my opinion is one of the weaker skins in the game. I really don't like it. It's sort of an Amar-based skin for a Minmatar ship, and if you know anything about the background of Eve, you know about his lore, you'll know why that's problematic to me. Anyway, it is a Rupture skin, but it only works on the basic Rupture, not the Rupture Trainer, not any of the Rupture Interdictors, Rupture Guardian, or any of the other types of Rupture, just the basic. And that's where my problem here comes in. Why are these ships so exclusive? Unless you are a dedicated Rupture pilot, that's a nothing. That is literally a nothing in the pass. And the same once we come down to the advanced version here, you get the Late Night skin for the Vexor. I do really like the Late Night skins. I think these are really cool, and I like the Vexor. It is a ship I do occasionally fly. Not the Vexor though, I tend to fly the Navy issue, or the Sniper. Which of course this skin doesn't work on. I would love to see these skins reworked so that they work on all variants. And this is cool, the Coppice Edge skin for Hyperion. Again, it's very niche. I like the Hyperion. I did a video on it not all that long ago, literally I think it was last week. Very cool ship, very useful, and if you are flying a Hyperion, that's pretty cool, but it's still a very niche skin. That one I think is a little less niche because it is something that, it's an aspirational ship that you're working towards rather than something partway down. But I would like to see skins go the same way as nanocores. That when you get a Vexor skin, it works on the Vexor Trainer, the Vexor Sniper, and the Vexor 2. Works on all different variants of it. So the rewards, in my opinion, are still pretty standard this time around. I'm happy with them. I'm happy that you get some insurance points, you get a bucket load of skill points, which is always nice to log into. You get some nanocore supplies. They are randomized nanocore supplies, which is a kind of love it or hate it thing. I kind of wish you got to choose rather than, it being randomized, but again, it's all free stuff there, and you're just paying to get more free stuff, if that kind of makes sense. Now, of course, we've talked about the CONCORD credits themselves, and it's, pointless talking about CONCORD credits without talking about what you can actually purchase with them this time around. So if we come to the New Eden store and scroll down to the CONCORD Pass shop, there's a series of different things here that we can purchase. Now here, I'm going to start at the top and work our way down. First of all, the CONCORD Pass Nanocore Material Deluxe Supply. This to me is how the material boxes should always be. When you buy one of these, you get a choice of a Disruption Nanocore, Offensive Nanocore, or Industry Nanocore supply, and then when you open these, it will contain all of the materials shown here. So if you want these materials to upgrade your nanocores, you get all of those there. You get the 100 signature recognition data banks, the 1 Klein bottle structure nanosource, and 10 signature stream computing chip 3s. All things you can use to upgrade nanocores if that's a particular nanocore you're using for 2,400 CONCORD credits. The small nanocore material supply chest is a little bit cheaper, only 300. This one you'll see here, this randomly obtains some nanocore materials from the chest, and it can be, multiple of these. You might, for example, get 3 combat learning data cores, and then 3 combat data streams from the top there. You might get 4 of these different things, but in different numbers, and it's completely random what you get in those, and it's a bit hit and miss, and I'm not overly fond of those. The Ship Improvement System Structure Refactoring 3s, these are pretty expensive, used for re-rolling skills on a nanocore when you've upgraded it and don't like them. We have been confirmed that these are getting a rework on their prices. Lance.confirmed confirmed that at Dev AMA last night, so don't buy those yet. Wait, those will be sorted there. Or is it the Cloud AI learning codes I'm thinking of, sorry. and being 5,000. These are the ones that allow you to reroll stats. Basically, hold off on those for the time being. There is a fix coming. The exogenous light recombination devices as well, to me, are ridiculously expensive because all they do is allow you to change how the nanocore looks. Yeah. I'm not personally going to spend 37,500 points on changing how a nanocore looks when I could actually buy a new nanocore for that same amount. And if you disassemble a nanocore and then put it back on, well, yeah. Anyway, so what different nanocores do we have? I mentioned it's the Ascension nanocore this time around. And these, again, follow in sort of usual footsteps as you'd expect. I'm going to start here, though, by at the bottom going for the Imperial Battleship nanocores and the Ascensions. Now you can see the Ascensions are these vibrant orangey gold skins, which are actually quite pretty. Not really my kind of thing. I did prefer the look of the Dark Halo, but I know some people really like these vibrant neon looking skins. We get one for the Abaddon, one for the Armageddon, the Scorpion, the Rock, the Hyperion, the Dominix, the Maelstrom, and the Typhoon, which is nice to see. These all follow the same blueprint when it comes to their stats, so let's have a look at those. Essentially, you get an option of 3 stats. One of those, in this case, is always 21% flight velocity. The other is always 22.5% increase to either shield or armor. That's the total amount of hit points for that particular tank. And then 18% to the weapon of choice. Obviously, for the Typhoon, that's missiles and torpedoes and shield for those, whereas if we were to go up to the Dominix, for example, the Dominix Ascension is 18% drone damage and 22.5% armor. If you're familiar with the battleships, you should know what you're getting between shield and armor and what type of weapon it's going to get damage. Otherwise, 21% flight velocity. Now, if we have a look at that Typhoon core again, so just remember, we've got 18% there on missile torpedo damage, 22.5% shield, or 21% flight velocity. Let's just jump in and actually have a look at my Typhoon 2 here with its currently Dark Halo nanocore, which, as I said, I personally prefer the look of. And oh, would you look at that? It's 18% missile torpedo damage. They're basically the Dark Halo cores reskinned to look as a different colour. And some people will love that, some people will hate it. There are some subtle differences in the possible upgrades as well. The secondary stats that you can get, there are some subtle differences there, but I'm not going to go through all of those. It's not really enough to warrant any differences. Basically, if you feel like you missed out on a Dark Halo core, or you wanted the Dark Halo core but didn't like the colours, well, this time around, you've now got the Ascension cores, which are basically the same thing, and this does carry across the board with a couple of nice little notable differences. If we look at the Imperial Battlecruiser ones, here we have Harbinger, Drake, Brutix, and Hurricane, followed by Cyclone as well. So we get 2 Minmatar ones, curiously, on this time, whereas the other factions only get 1 of each there across the board, which I'm sure is going to spark a little bit of discussion. I'm just glad to see a Hurricane nanocore come back. I keep tapping the wrong thing there. Again, it's the same thing, 18% weapon damage, 22.5% tank, or 21% flight velocity. It's pretty basic. For this one, I'd actually quite like this because that 21% flight velocity on a Hurricane really can make a big difference in regards to the kind of content you can clear because you can speed tank with it. And that's pretty exciting for me. I'll probably be aiming for one of those on Silent Rose, especially since Silent Rose is now primarily reskilled towards Hurricanes and carriers and a Nidhogger, and there's no way I'm getting a nanocore for a Nidhogger anytime soon. But yeah, you've got your options there, same kind of thing. I'm going to stick with the Imperial boxes for now, we'll come back in a moment. For the Imperial cruisers, these annoyingly are all of the what are they called, the Interdictor cruisers. So you've got Arbitrator and Mala, we've got Blackbird and Moa, we've got Celestis and Thorax. Oh god, the Celestis looks even more like a banana now. The Bellicose and the Rapture. Now, all of these use the exact same stats, which are 21% increase to Warp Disruptor Optimal Range, 21% increase to Interdiction Sphere Launcher Disruption Field Range, and 21% increase to Warp Disruption Field Disruption Field Range. Now, obviously, on the cruiser variants, these are the heavy interdictors. These use Warp Disruption Field Disruption Fields, not Interdiction Sphere Launchers, so that middle stat is ultimately useless. And I'm gonna say I'm still annoyed that they're doing this. I get the idea of this is that essentially it is a interdiction, it's a disruption Ascension core. And all of the disruption Ascension cores have those same stats of, you know, the 21 disruptor, optimal range, the interdiction sphere launcher, and the field generators. All of those are across the board, whether it's the destroyer or the cruiser, but ultimately it means that the cruisers have a stat that is useless to them. The 21% Interdiction, Sphere Launcher, Disruption Field range, you're having to choose between Optimal Range or Disruption Field range. Those are your only two that you care about on this ship. Same on the destroyers, you don't care about the Warp Disruption Field range, because, well, they don't use disruption fields. They use interdiction spheres. Interdiction sphere launchers. So either way, you've got one of the options on the nanocore is useless. It's also just a little bit disappointing to see that we got a skin for the Rupture, but the nanocore only works on the Rupture Interdictor. Or really only makes sense on the Rupture Interdictor. I mean, I suppose you could put this on a standard Rupture and just use that Warp Disruptor Optimal Range for PvP, but I don't get why you ever would. I really don't get why you ever would. And it's the same with the Bellicose Ascension core. I saw this and I was like, oh, Bellicose core? I would love me a nano core on my Bellicose 3 Covert Ops. That could be some really cool stuff. And then I looked at it and I'm like, well, basically it's the Warp Disruptor Optimal Range is the only thing I'd go for. I get it. I get it. You can't have everything. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm annoyed at this, that, oh, it's so unfair. They're designed. They are the Interdiction Ascension nanocores. That's what they're meant to do. Just, it's a little bit annoying, is what I'm saying. You can't please everyone all the time. Not every ship can have a nanocore every time, or we're just never going to get any sort of, actual development done. And it's the same here with the destroyers. As I said, it's the Coercer, the Cormorant, the Catalyst, and the Thrasher. And I'd love one of these to go on a Thrasher fleet issue and actually give me some extra damage or something like that. But no, it is the Interdiction nanocore here. Giving you the additional stats that we've seen across the board. I'm not going to talk about those anymore. Let's move on finally to the Imperial Frigate, which, as you guessed it, is an Interceptor nanocore. Now, I like the fact that none of this is DPS related. This pushes the Interceptors purely into their actual role as a tackle ship, with either additional structure or Warp Disruptor Optimal Range, but we get an interesting stat here in the middle of normal cargo hold capacity. Now, Nina said this perfectly the other day. I don't mind that cargo interceptors are used for carrying cargo, like through gate camps offline and that kind of thing, because, simply put, they're not making the big sales. Yeah, some of the blueprints are really expensive and stuff like that, but oh well, who cares? It's the problem with interceptors has always been their damage, so I don't mind them having additional Warp Disruptor Optimal Range, I don't mind them having additional structure, I don't mind them having additional cargo hold. We just still need the actual nerf to interdictors to their DPS for this all to really make sense, but hey, there we go, they're still going to be a little bit overpowered until netties eventually get their fingers out of their backsides and get to fixing that. But hey, it's going to take time. Ultimately, I quite like the fact that they've got the cargo hold capacity. It means that, for example, an Atron Ascension core there, with that additional cargo hold capacity, becomes quite good for hauling some basic stuff through. If you want to ship some small modules or blueprints, that's awesome. You're not going to be running any amounts of ore, you're not going to be delivering ships or anything with this, even with full... like going for the cargo hold capacity increase there, plus all like rigging for extra cargo hold as well, you're just not going to achieve like massive amounts. You're not going to be able to carry ships in the cargo hold of this anytime soon. So I don't mind that. I really don't mind that the Interceptors are getting that, and I think it's nice to see that Interceptors aren't just getting straight up DPS buffs anymore. It shows to me that netties are listening, that we don't want Interceptors to be these big DPS ships, and I'm really glad of that. I'm glad of that. That brings us nicely then to the Fraction Frigate Ascension cores. These are, again, basically the Dark Halo cores that we had before. 18% weapon damage, 22.5% tank, 21% flight velocity. Some pretty cool stuff here. As I said, the Succubus and the Dromiel, going for that flight velocity is actually really cool, but going for the extra tank or damage can be really useful on some of these as well. What is nice about these is that we get both the Astero and the Gamma. Now, this is really important to me. Now, first things first, let's have a look at the Gamma. The Gamma, again, it's those same stats that we saw before. Having a nanocore on the Gamma means it does now pull ahead slightly on the Condor 2 Interceptor. If you've been following my content at all, you'll know that I have a Gamma, I just never fly it, because the Condor 2 Interceptor is the equivalent, if not better in some cases, and it is considerably cheaper. So what we're kind of seeing here is this, this pulls the Gamma back. This actually gives the Gamma some usage. It's annoying that it means that if you want to use a Gamma and have the Gamma be better than a Condor 2 Interceptor, you do need to be spending 37,500 Concord credits on a nanocore, but hey, it's there at last. As for which of those I'd go for, I genuinely don't know. The flight velocity is quite nice. Missile torpedo damage obviously is pretty safe. Shield is probably the one I'd go for least personally, but because of the hit-and-run nature of the Gamma, but that works really cool. My problem here is the Astero, which obviously just gets the same stats. 18% drone damage, 22.5% armor, and 21% flight velocity. None of those are really useful if you're using the Astero at all. Like, I don't care about the amount of damage its drones can do, because I'm exploring in it. The armor is probably what I would go for here, if I could be bothered to pick this up. To me, it's 37,500 Concord credits I'd rather spend elsewhere. I just don't think this is really worth it on the Astero at all. The Astero is not a good hunter. People do get kills with them. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, you're an idiot for going hunting in one. You're not. You can get kills. I just think it's not really what this ship is designed for, and so it's a little bit sad to see that they've just kind of copy-pasted, rubber-stamped this through, same as the others. But again, I get it. We've talked about this before. Nanocores follow a blueprint, and this is the offensive version of the Ascension core, like we've seen the disruption version of the Ascension core as well, for use on the destroyers and on the cruisers. It's just disappointing that we finally get a core for the Astero, and it's still... The Astero needs so much work. I could do an entire video on reworking the Astero. But for the Gamma, this is a nice change. Obviously, if you got the Dark Halo core for any of the others, it's the same core, just with different optics. But it's nice that it's here. If you missed out on the Dark Halo, you've still got these ones here. Faction Cruisers, same thing. Phantasm, Ashimu, Healer, Vigilant, Cinnabal, and then the Stratios and the Orthrus. Orthrus is a really powerful ship. I do like this one anyway, and the nanocore here makes that pretty powerful. The Stratios, again, this one I actually can see you actually going hunting a bit more with it. It is a very powerful cruiser. 18% drone damage is pretty nice on that one. I like those. Those are pretty cool. What does confuse me is that we lost the Dark Halo nanocores for the faction battleships, and we haven't had those replaced with Ascension. You'll notice there is no faction battleship Ascension nanocore, so I missed out, for example, on the Macariel Dark Halo nanocore, and I thought, okay, well at least I could get the Ascension one and then just change its look to be a little bit darker and moodier than this bright, vibrant orange. No, it doesn't exist. The battleships, the faction battleships, do not get an Ascension core. I don't know if that's intended or if it's something that they've just missed, but nope, they're not here. You can see their Imperial Battlecruiser up to Imperial Battleship, no faction battleship there. That's disappointing to me, especially since that could have been the Barguest and the Nesta, but I guess they just decided not to do it. The one that I am kind of glad that they've done, though, is the Ascension cores here for industry. It's nice to see industry getting some kind of love in regards to its nanocores. Yes, we still have the same issue here, that the Venture and the Covetor and all of the mining ships, like we saw with the disruption ones for the cruisers and destroyers, the fact that they've got bonuses that just do not apply to them, is the same here really with these. Obviously putting strip miner mining amount on a Venture is just pointless because it can't even fit strip miners, and the same does go for, if I go past all of these, down to the bottom to, for example, the Procurer. Putting a mining laser on a Procurer is just a silly idea. Just like, I kind of wish that it was like we've seen. Obviously, if you go for a Phantasm, it's laser damage. If you go for the Vigilant, it's railgun damage. They've done that. So why is it not the same here? That if on the Procurer, it's strip miner mining amount, and on the Venture, it's mining laser mining amount. And then the second stat down could be something interesting, like, I don't know, well, we've got increased ore hold capacity at the bottom, but something like a reduction to align time, your agility rating, that kind of thing. Drop the mass, increase the agility ratio. There's all kinds of cool stuff that could have been in the middle one there. It's disappointing that NetEase still insists on separating mining lasers and strip miners, whereas they don't separate drones and missiles and cannons and lasers and railguns. Those all get their own thing. If I open up, as I said, if I open up the Phantasm, the top one is always going to be 18% laser, whereas if I open up the Vigilant, it's 18% railgun. If I open up the Cinnabal, it's 18% cannon. why are mining lasers and strip miners separated like this? That irks me, because it does mean you still only get the 2 options, but hey, at least the options are still there. Then, of course, we get all of our haulers as well. For example, here, if I go and have a look at the wreath, I do have a wreath. Not that I use it all that much. 18% normal cargo hold capacity, 18% special cargo hold capacity, and 21% warp speed. Now, I talked about this before, and even though the special cargo holds are bigger, because you're probably fitting you're probably fitting cargo hold rigs, the way that that then calculates out means it does work out better for you to go for the 18% normal cargo hold capacity, because whatever you're putting in the special hold, or minerals, or whatever, depending on what type of hauler it is, you can, of course, still put in the normal cargo hold capacity as well, and you will get more space by doing that. The only exception to that, as far as I'm aware, is the Badger and the Tyra. Of course, with their special cargo hold being ships, ships have a very specific barrier. Obviously, if you add another, say, 500 cubic meters, that's 500 cubic meters extra of ore, and that can be whatever ore you like. With a ship, with something like a Tyra that's carrying ships, if you've got, if you filled up your cargo hold and you've got, say, 500 cubic meters left, that's still not enough to fit another ship in. You need to reach certain benchmarks. So it's worth calculating this out and actually seeing if going for the special cargo hold capacity will allow you to achieve a further benchmark on that particular hold. I hope that makes sense. If you're an industrialist, that should make sense to you. But there we go. And that's basically it. So for me, this is typical. It's what I would expect for a CONCORD Pass. It's still, in my opinion, going the right direction, that we get some cool rewards here for free. We're getting a bit more weight towards the free side of things. Paying obviously still gets you more, but it's not as bad as it used to be. The gap is sort of closed there. It's a good CONCORD Pass. I think overall it's a good CONCORD Pass. The skins are still disappointing that they're limited to particular ships rather than the entire hull. But overall, I think it's worth going in for this one. If you're going to be playing, if you're going to be doing those missions, the rewards are pretty good. The Ascension cores themselves are, in my opinion, overall good. There are some confusing little bits here and there that I wish they would tidy up these cores just a little bit, but ultimately, to me, it's overall good, which I think is a nice thing to say in this day and age with how things have been going with Eve Echoes. Anyway, folks, do let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I'd love to know what you think about CONCORD Pass Season 5. Which of these nanocores are you going for? What kind of stats would you like to see on a mining ship? So if you could roll the stripped mining and mining laser into one stat, what would you want for that second option? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Otherwise, thank you for watching right the way to the end and listening to me ramble on about this one. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.